The 17th of May. Wow, that's quite a day. A lot of us were looking forward to, and I heard an astrologer recently talk about the significance of the 17th of May. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Vivid Earth. Anina here for a quick world update and just to reflect on this day and how far we've come. So it's the 17th of May. We know that's a very favorite number. If you are in the number 17 movement or you follow that movement, you will know that it's a significant number. And I've been seeing a lot of 17s lately. I don't know about you, but what's been going on? Whew. World geopolitics is hotting up. Trump has just left the Middle East, or we think he's left the Middle East, but from all reports, that's what happened. And he just really cleaned up there in the Middle East, literally every single country that he visited, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar to the UAE, done deals with $2 trillion. And, all I can say is there's a new world order emerging, and it ain't controlled by the globalists, that's for sure. There's a whole new alliance taking shape worldwide. A lot of people reckon that this visit to the Middle East was significant for the revaluation of the currencies, which is coming soon, otherwise known as the RV. There is going to be a conference or an event in Baghdad in Iraq, which is interesting, and he might just swing by. So we'll see what happens. But a lot of people just get so wrapped up by his bombastic nature that they're completely missing the wood for the trees. Power through strength, guys. I mean, this is a very, very complex military operation that's been going on for literally years, but very intensely for the past 8 years. So you've got to understand, at this stage of the war, you've got to be very, very, you've got to show strength. And this is what we're seeing now. It might not be the, peace and harmony kind of happy-go-lucky, everyone wins feeling that it's giving off, but it is giving a message to the globalists that their time is up. And he's showing his strength, because if he doesn't, you got the deep state, which at this point is very weakened, but still believe they have the upper hand in many cases. You will give them the confidence to keep moving forward. And they need to know that they are in a corner now. The benevolent forces on this planet is taking back control. Now, a lot of people get very wrapped up in what have they done to us in the last few centuries. And, look, they've turned this planet into a prison planet, and it's just awful. And what have they done to us? We need to get back to them, and. But in a way, and I know people don't want to hear this, but we've had to go through the fire to get to where we are today, because we wouldn't have evolved as a human species otherwise. When things are comfortable, when you pull back into a 3D low density construct like we have been on this earth for many centuries now, once that is done, if you just live a comfortable life, you'll never be able to get out of there. And it will just be a continuous karmic loop. Like literally, we'll just be looping like this, same thing every time. And then just like it is between different nations and races here on Earth, the one oppresses the other. In the next 100 years, the other comes back and it oppresses the one that oppresses them. And it's like a ping pong game, just back and forth, and just more karma, more suffering, and all of these things. And we've got to reach a point where we say we are prepared to leave the past behind, and we're prepared to live through the heart, because we can't keep going like this. And in a way, we've had to go through the fire in this way, as painful as it has been. And as much as many people have been suffering, so much as a humanity to evolve back into a higher density, into a higher dimension, we've had to go through the fire organically. Nobody could do it for us. And when I say for us, a lot of us came here, yes, to help rescue the planet, because what happens on this planet has an impact, in the entire universe. But But we agreed to reincarnate into this avatar, this human avatar, with all of its flaws, with all of its shortcomings, with all of its shortened telomeres, with all of its, you know, weakened DNA, because we have all the DNA, it's just not active. And that's why they call it junk DNA. Nothing in your body is junk. Nothing organic in your body is junk anyway. So we have the most amazing technology, organic technology inside of us. We don't need any external technology, actually, strictly speaking. So, but in any event, so we had to do this organically from the inside out. We had to come here as sleeper cells. We were going to be awakened at some point, and we were going to say, okay, boop, I remember I need to complete a mission here. I need to be part of this rescue mission, even though we can't remember specific things, but we just remember we had to be part of this. That's all we remembered. And it's been an arduous journey. You know, a lot of people say it's been so much suffering, it's been so hard. But look how far we've come. Look at what it's done. And if you really look at the, you know, the teachings of the ancient, you know, Vedic culture and Buddhist and Taoist culture, there is no light, there's no joy, there's no breakthrough, there's no evolution without suffering. And that is what has been going on this planet, because we are a planet of polarity. So through suffering and through pain and suffering, we evolve, we grow spiritually. There's no spiritual growth without suffering. It's something that I learned. I attended a talk this morning, which is such a beautiful discussion, really, about dopamine and how we've become addicted to dopamine. And we're just always looking for the next dopamine hit. Now, dopamine is useful in the human body because it inspires us, it motivates us to get up in the morning and do things. But it's not about chasing the dopamine. Okay, you've got to let it flow naturally. And we've become, unfortunately, programmed into chasing the dopamine. So we're looking for the next success, for the next achievement, for the next reward. And that depletes us, and it actually leaves us very unhappy. And, you know, once we realize there's actually nothing externally that we need to be happy, once we let go of all the external chasing and, you know, validation and even love for that matter, what we discover is just incredible peace. And, you know, once we surrender to the heart. So it was a very interesting talk. But one of the things, as I said, that was mentioned is there is no spiritual growth without suffering. And this is why through this ascension journey, it's not always comfortable, because we have to work through a lot of shadows. Sometimes it's not even our own shadows, it's ancestors, it's the collectives, it's, you know, all these things. It's not even necessarily ours, but the reward, if I can put it like that, for that pain and suffering through going through those shadow periods is the spiritual growth. Because what are we all here to do? We want to ascend to the fifth dimension. We want to ascend to higher planes where things are much more beautiful, peaceful, harmonious. But that's got to be earned in a way where we have to go through the spiritual growth. So unless you're an ascended master already, which none of us are at this point, you have to go through that spiritual growth process. And it is incredibly rewarding simply because it's got meaning for us, right? It feels like we're doing something that's almost virtually impossible in this environment, this low dimensional, dense 3D environment that we call Earth. And I heard another channeling, somebody was channeling Archangel Raphael. And they asked Raphael, would you ever, are there any angels that are kind of here on Earth reincarnated as humans? And Raphael was just laughing for about 5 minutes and say, no, none of us want to be here. It's very hard, but we are here to help. So we really, guys, this is quite a brave thing to do, to sign up for this Earth School and to come here and to help rescue the planet. But ultimately, the goal is spiritual growth. because in the bigger scheme of things, in the bigger picture of the multiverse, we're doing a very important thing, and it is very necessary. We just have to keep our ego in check through the process. So a lot's been going on in the world stage this week. We've had a lot of successes, and of course, the naysayers have even more things to say in return. So there's no going around this division. It is what it is. You need to not take it so personally. You need to understand why it's happening, and you need to detach from it, because the other thing is about achieving peace in your life is detaching from things, not getting emotionally caught up in things. Because otherwise you're not going to make this one. You're going to be very drained. You're going to be very unhappy. So we've got to have a sense of detachment and realize that this is just how it works. Before we can achieve unity, we have to go through this extreme division, because otherwise, how will the people realize that unity is actually the thing that's going to save us all? You and I know it, but the rest of the world, don't know it. And so detach yourself from that and realize this is just humans acting in the way that they know best how to do. And ultimately, they've detached from themselves and their connection to source, which is why they're so unhappy, which is why they are so divided, because they don't know that we are all one. They don't know that we're all connected. So, just walk the other way, and don't be so attached to things, even the intel and the politics and what's happening on the world stage, the RV. Don't be attached to anything. It'll happen when it'll happen. And the less attached you are to it, the less you are chasing it, the more freely it can manifest. That is the thing. That is the irony of it all, because we like chasing the intel. It's like, it's going to happen tomorrow. The EBS is going to happen tomorrow. And you know what? It may happen tomorrow, but I'm not putting my expectations on that. I'm not planning my life around the RV. I'm not planning my life around, when the tribunals begin, or, when the truth gets revealed, because I just trust and know that things will happen in divine timing when the collective is ready for it. And you have to trust that too. And if you're not, it just means that you're still in the chasing phase. And there's nothing else I can tell you what to say to you. The only moment this is going to change for you, the only moment where you'll find peace, is when you surrender. But you never give up your hope, you never give up your belief, and you never give up your faith in a better future, because that is the building block for the future, having that faith and hope and belief. That is partly how things transpire into reality, through faith and hope and belief. So that's our biggest ammunition right now. So yesterday, we saw Comey, disgraced FBI director, just coming out in the limelight, so to speak, again, with a very provocative tweet, basically calling for the assassination of our President Trump. Yes, he posted the numbers 8647, which is code for 86, meaning, yeah, KILL. So basically putting a hit out on him. And the weird thing is that this was exactly 8,647 days from the big event in September in 2001. You know, the one I'm talking about. So there's a lot of coding and gematria coming through in things that happen on a daily basis. But this was basically a declaration of war, and it's not going to go unattended. And already the FBI has been speaking out. They are watching him, and there may just be an arrest as well, because you can't do things like that, especially not if you are an ex-FBI director. Yeah. So, but we knew that the time had to come where he was going to be put in the spotlight, and his time has come. So it's going to lead to a lot of other things, like, he was basically the man at the center of Spygate, Crossfire Hurricane, and the Russia hoax, as we know. So what a great opportunity to ask this man and to get some investigation going around him. So things have progressed quite a lot in the geopolitical arena, as fast as it possibly could. We've had the Diddy case, a whole bunch of stuff coming out around that. And there are reports that now talk about Obama and Hillary's involvement in that whole blackmail scheme called Diddy. Yeah. So things are hotting up, guys. All the exposure that you want to have happen will happen when the time is right. I promise you. You just need to carry on with your own mission, your internal mission. Because if you're not going to be ready for ascension, then you're not going to ascend and you're going to affect the ascension of the entire planet. So, yeah, I always like to remind you, and I will continue to remind you, that this is your most important mission ever. We've had a lot of activity on the Schumann resonance this week, a lot of crazy energies. I know I've been feeling it, and I've been feeling it physically as well. Very tired at times. Just my eyes were weird for like 2 days, or I couldn't even, I don't know, it was like they were glued together. I had a lot of eye issues for 2 days. My one eye is still a bit jumpy, so we'll see what happens. But I'm just taking everything in my stride and, celebrate every little win. And trying not to pursue any dopamine hits, because only when we let go of everything external will the dopamine hits or be sort of seized. And the thing is, the more people seek outside, the more unhappy they become, because the more they realize that it doesn't bring lasting happiness. You may be happy for a moment, you're getting that new dress, you're getting that new this or that, and it's like, oh, happy in the moment. By tomorrow, it's already blown over, and you're back to where you were. And in fact, you will dive even lower down, and you'll look for an even bigger dopamine high. So that is the trap that most people get into. There was a quote, I'm trying to remember it, which said, people are very smart and intelligent in this rat race that we find ourselves in. But what you have at the end of the day is just rats that are intelligent and smart, but they're still rats. So we've got all these like intellectuals and successful people out there that think they are the bee's knees, right? They are so smart, they are so successful, but all they are is just rats. Intelligent rats, but they rats. So that was interesting. And then, of course, with the Diddy case, we had Jonathan Odie come out saying that he was a sex slave for Diddy, and he was paid to have relations with Cassie and everything. It's just, yeah, very unsavory, but I'm sure you are aware of all the details. I'm not going to spell it out again. And he was the one that said he overheard Diddy and the gang speak about offing 47, and the fact that Hillary and Obama was involved in that plot. And he then was in 2018, he walked into the Trump Club in Miami, shooting up the chandeliers, just so that he can get this information out. So he said all of these things under oath. And this week it was confirmed by Cassie that yes, he was a sex slave of Diddy. And yes, it all happened like this. So you can see how you think things are moving very slowly, but suddenly now it's connecting a million dots. And at some point, it's just like a quantum. Enough dominoes have been set off, like from different sides, for the whole building to collapse. So this is what we're seeing in real time. So you just mind your own business and watch it from afar. Don't, just put all your, happiness and your very center of existence to these things. It will happen when it will happen. But you just make sure you don't waste your time or your energy not doing what you are supposed to do and what you came here to do, what you signed up to do, I might add. So it's a free will planet. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But your higher self's going to be very disappointed, and you might just have to come back again to do it. because your soul wanted to have this learning. It's all about source experiencing itself. So ultimately, it was source that wanted to have this learning experience through you and through your soul. So, and it's one of the most coveted places to come in the universe, but it's definitely not for sissies, guys. Being on Earth is not easy. But if you can detach yourself from all the madness, all the drama, all the debates, all the triggers, if you can just say, this too shall pass, this is not me, this is just a part of me, and this is just an illusion, this is just a school, because that is how you're going to pass that school exam, by um, being the, what is the word I'm looking for? Being the neutral observer of all the madness. So yeah, a lot is resting on us, and it's an arduous journey. So take it one step at a time, and rest when you have to. Do some self-care, meditate, do stuff for yourself, because you're going to be depleted. You're not going to make it. That's all I can say. There was a quote from a guy called Sergeant Eagles 76. He said, it's a sad day when an American president has to fight an American government to protect the American people. And that is exactly what's going on. So yeah, so much drama, guys. What can we say? So much drama. So we're not, getting emotionally attached to any of this. We just watching with interest from afar and doing what we need to do. And that is find your own happiness, right? That's our job. What can I tell you guys? I wanted to read something that I thought was very interesting, beautiful. It said, you are not becoming, you are remembering. Have I read this before? I'm not sure. This isn't some poetic turn of phrase. It's the thunderous cry of your soul breaking through the illusion of time and separation. You were never a spark waiting to be lit. You were the inferno before the world began. I think I might have read this to you, but I love it so much that I had to read it again. Yeah. So, to take a pulse on the current energies, I like to look at Alexander Quinn's work. I think he's having some really good observations. So he's been talking about the dramatic surge in solar activity this past week. And of course, it's just been building and building over the last few months. We've had two X-class flares this week, an M-class. So it's been a lot. There's been a lot going on the Schumann resonance. There's been significant radio blackouts across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. We've had some intense X-rays hit the Earth. An extreme ultraviolet radiation that ionized Earth's upper atmosphere, leading to widespread disruptions in high-frequency radio communications on the sunlit side of the planet. While initial assessments suggest that the flare did not produce CME directed towards Earth, the active region has been highly volatile, also releasing other large flares within a short time span. However, not all first Earth-facing. However, what is most interesting about this active region is that it's now beginning to rotate into an Earth-facing position. So while recent activities produce blackouts and some residual ascension symptoms, such as dizziness and other lesser effects on human consciousness, the region will soon become fully Earth-facing. This could create some incredible front-facing events that may exacerbate ascension symptoms, also creating an accelerant for timeline creations and corrections at the soul level. So there's a lot going on within and without. When we get these very large events that begin transmitting directly to Earth in the non-physical, it often opens large energetic portals that can trigger some souls to leave the Earth, typically those who are already terminally ill or physically very fragile. So it can become an accelerant for soul contracts. And I've been hearing about so many people passing away, and it's very sad, but we have to respect their choices. you know, if they were not going to make this ascension timeline and they chose to opt out, believe that they are in a better place right now and it wasn't their time to go through this event, and accept that, you know, they're not lost. They're just in another realm and you will be reunited with them, perhaps even in a less conflictual way, because perhaps you had a friend or a family member that didn't see eye to eye because of the, you know, frequencies that didn't match and they didn't understand the path that you were on. But now, if they're on the other side, they understand the path that you're on and you will be able to connect with them much better. So yeah, we've got a lot of this going on, and I've seen every time I go on Facebook, there's at least 2 people that have passed away. So it's a very hectic time for the Earthlings. Now I've got a niggle in my throat. And what Alexander also said, which was very interesting, is he said, what's also fascinating about this current solar cycle is that it's now expected to remain completely active through at least to 2026, which will accelerate ascension timelines faster than most forecasts predicted, which is good news. If we can get faster through this, I'm all for it. You're going to see not only the inner self change faster during this period, but also witness the planet and global events accelerating at a lightning pace as Gaia grids reformulate, gravitational fields restructure, and time-space speeds up towards the eventual singularity of 0 point, or what some galactic scholars refer to as the dawn of a galactic civilization, which in linear time perceptions offer the paradigm perception of being closer to instantaneous. This is why events that happened only last month are feeling like they might have been a year ago or more. I definitely can attest to that. The emerging state is akin in nature to the Polarians and civilizations from Alcyon, Maya, Electra, Arcturus, Delphinus, and other 5th, 6th density evolutionary beings. Let's see what the next 12 days bring. I've got my popcorn out. Have you? So yeah, definitely things are speeding up, and a lot of people are also talking about an imminent solar flash. I don't know, guys. I can't tell you what I think because I'm in 2 minds about it, but I can't help but feel that we are heading for some sort of flash sometime soon. Definitely feels like something is building. But again, we're not attached to it and we shall surrender to whatever happens next because we know it's for our highest good. We know that there's going to be a good outcome. We know there's hope for humanity and that things are heading for a beautiful future. We are heading for a beautiful future. And in order to have a beautiful future, you have to live in the moment now. You've got to be in the now moment. You've got to be peaceful. You've got to be happy. You've got to content. You've got to be content. So that's what you need to work on. If you're not there yet, and we all still oscillate back and forth, but I'd say for the most part, I found that contentness, that peace, and that happiness, and it's a beautiful place to be. I cannot be happier. Excuse the pun. And then the latest also, there was a perfectly formed crop circle that was just discovered in Wiltshire, not far from Stonehenge. It looks like a Celtic cross, or kind of a Celtic cross kind of thing. Perfect, beautiful. I shared it on Telegram, so if you haven't seen it, just go and scroll back, or you can go to Alexander Quinn's Telegram. He shared it as well. Exquisite. So that's definitely a message for humanity, right? They do these things to give us messages. Sometimes it's to send frequency, through the earth or the grid. So they have been there. They have been supporting us in the background. They have been helping with the energies. They've been helping to guide us through this period. So know that you are divinely guided and protected during this time. And whatever is for your highest good will transpire, and trust the process and know that you are an internal being. So you're not going anywhere. You might be going somewhere, but you're not disappearing ever. You're just on this beautiful adventure called life. And you are growing as a spiritual being. And isn't that quite a ride? I'm loving it. I hope that you are too. So guys, please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already on YouTube and Rumble, which is the backup. I'm not there that often, although I share most of the content on Rumble, and it is a great platform. So make sure that you subscribe there as well. In Telegram and all the things. And if anyone, we've got one space left for a retreat for the end of the month in Stanford, outside Hermanus in Cape Town. Beautiful little town. It's going to be on an organic working farm, like a guest farm. And scenery is exquisite, hiking trails, and we're going to be doing learning incredible Qigong movements and meditation, and learn how to transform ourselves from the inside out so we can be geared up and ready for this ascension process, because we all want it to happen sooner rather than later, right? So that's what I have to say. And be good, take good care of yourself. And I think that's it from me. I'm sending you much love. I'll chat to you soon.